Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel Beck and today I'm going to be talking about designing my character's armor. My character is Boone Morgan. He's a saint and he was chosen by the goddess of the moon to kind of carry on her requests and her plans. So the goddess of the moon is known for having merciful, or for being very merciful. And so Boone Morgan is a merciful person. He only fights unless he absolutely has to. So I was thinking maybe having his character be more of a cleric than a warrior, but he knows a few things about how to fight as well. But he doesn't have to, or he doesn't fight unless he absolutely has to. So I thought I would kind of go through the process of how I designed his armor. I thought it'd be kind of interesting. Right now I'm just kind of drafting up a few, I guess, mannequins, quote unquote. I don't know what you want to call that, a few poses, I guess. So the realm that he's on, I want it to be very inspired by European medieval stuff. So since he is a cleric, I want it to kind of look like a mix between like a monk's garb, where it kind of has like the rope, and then it has the bag, like the really baggy. So between like a monk, something more traditional crusader, where it kind of looks the same. It's a little bit more armored with like breastplate and underneath, and a lot of like heavy chainmail, where it's not too heavily armored. Then it has like the bucket helm. These are just the sketches, so I can get some kind of idea of what I like. It's kind of hilarious. So Crusader, and then something that's a little bit more armored, like heavily armored, with like the traditional cuirass. I think that's how you pronounce it. So something that's kind of like a mix between the three, but a little bit more focused on the cleric, because that's what Boone Morgan is. He's a cleric. So in my book, it is very, he is thrown in the middle of a war with one of his friends, and a little bit of backstory between it while I look up a reference for armor, because I'm not very good at it. And is an orphan, and he's raised in Alistair Buck's orphanage. When Boone was younger, he had nightmares of this awful creature that would come into the orphanage and take some orphans away on the day that the orphans were adopted. And that's important. You'll kind of figure that out later. But Boone goes to Alistair, and he's telling all the kids about this monster, and the kids kind of get freaked out. And Alistair pretty much tells them, like, you can't go around telling the orphans that an orphan eater is dragging them away on the day that they're getting adopted. Like, that heavily affects them. And Alistair does go into the room, and he checks it out, and he tries to figure out why Boone is having these awful nightmares. And there's no hint or sign that there's any hidden passages for a monster to get in and take these kids away. So Boone kind of is debating whether or not it is just a really bad dream, that maybe he's scared of being adopted, but he keeps seeing this nightmare, he keeps seeing this thing, but he keeps kind of brushing it off as just a nightmare. until one of his friends gets kidnapped by the thing, and he has to, he can't let it eat. It's like it's eating him apart. So he goes in and he tries to rescue his friend. Then he finds this huge lair. And inside the lair, there's like a bunch of spell books and things, and it's really brutal. And so then Boone saves his friend, and they run away because nobody will believe them. And Boone joins the military, or I guess the church's militia, I guess. And then through his acts of bravery and mercy, and he helps people on the way, and through this, the goddess notices him and has him, dubs him as her saint. So the goddess is a goddess of the moon. So I have a little, this little drawing right here of the moon. It's all in all its phases. So I was thinking maybe this could be like a chess piece. Like that can be carved into his breastplate or something. So I want to take elements of his religion, of his realm, and apply it to his uniforms. I've always had an idea of what I wanted his helmet to look like, at least a part of it. So there's the head. So I want it to be, like I said, I want it to be very European, but I'm also kind of adding elements of Trojan helmets. I really love the look of the plumes on the top of the head. So I always had this idea that Boone Morgan's helmet was going to have a crescent moon. I did not practice today, and it's showing because my lines are so squiggly. I usually always practice. I do a couple of rough sketches and stuff before I start, but today I didn't have time for that because I have very limited time where my daughter is asleep. Okay, so his helmet has always had a crescent moon on top of it. I don't know if it's going to be, I kind of want it to be more curved. I don't want it to be so, I want it to be more curved. So I want it to kind of go from the tip of his forehead touching to the back of his head like that. And then it goes up like that. This is just a designing sheet. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't. So this is a little big. So I might make his head a little bit bigger. Because I don't want it to be too big and too flashy. Because Boone's not that type of person. Boone is... and I think another thing about designing armor or costumes for a character is you have to kind of decide what type of person they are. Are they the type of person who wants to be more peacocky, or if they're more shy or kind of to themselves a little bit. So you have to decide that, because that does determine what kind of character you have. And Boone is not the type of person who wants to draw too much attention to himself, but he wants it to be known that he is dedicated to his goddess. Okay, so he's going to have, it's going to be connected in the back about right there. And then maybe have some kind of cool design on the inside where it's, I don't know, something like that. We'll kind of erase things if we don't like it. So there we go. I don't like that little nub in the front, so we're gonna get rid of that. Okay. And if you don't like something, don't be afraid to take it out. Okay, so we're probably gonna put another there. That's just more for designing purposes, but you kind of get the idea that it's supposed to be like a crescent moon. Now, another thing is a lot of helmets are meant to look intimidating because you're going into battle, so yeah, it's supposed to fucking scare the crap out of your opponents. But Boone is a cleric. He doesn't want to be scary. He wants to be... He wants people to like him. So let's see. I'm trying to find... I'm looking up references right now, and I do want to talk about my opinion on references. In the artist community, a lot of people think that taking references is stealing or it's cheating. So the only time when that is cheating is if you trace it and call it your own. I am just trying to figure out certain designs and how they look. I'm not trying to take an idea. I'm not trying to steal anyone's ideas. I'm just trying to get some inspiration and some ideas. Okay, so because I don't want Boone to look frightening, I feel like he needs to show his face, because then people see his face and they can feel a little bit more comfortable with him. And because of the plume, I can't have one of those additions to it where you can just flip up, because that would get in the way. I can't do that. So I need, and I'm basing this off of personal likes and dislikes. I don't like the helmets where they're just open. I don't know. I just think that looks kind of weird to me, but. So I'm thinking maybe have something. So because he can't lift anything up. So I'm going to draw his head real quick. So his head will probably be around here. And then he'd have his forehead and then his nose. And it's real, I'm not really trying whatsoever. So then his chin will be, the point is his eyes will probably be around here. That's important. Okay, and there's his mouth. So his eyes will be there, and that's the most important part. Is just making sure that your character can see. Let's see, because they have, let's see. So obviously you want to be able to see some part of his face. So maybe have it kind of come up, it opens up, and then it kind of goes down, I guess. We'll play with that idea. It's too wide. There can also be a possibility that maybe he has like some chainmail that kind of goes across like that, and then he can just kind of like pin it off. But we'll save that idea for later, because I want to try some other things, because that makes it feel like it's from a different time frame or era or different place altogether. So let's see. I kind of do like it going up a little bit, because to some extent Boone will be fighting enemies, so he doesn't want to be too, he doesn't want to look too nice, you know. He still kind of wants to be threatening a little bit. So maybe bring that down a little bit more. So then it kind of comes up and then down. And then you can see his face. It kind of comes. Maybe curve that around a little bit more. We'll see how that looks. Then maybe, if I really want to get into the whole design and aspect of it, like I said, maybe he has something that he can pin to like here, and then it kind of comes down like that. But I don't know, I don't like that idea. Right now we're just going to leave it open, because like I said, he's more of a cleric. He doesn't really wear his helmet very often. It's more of like ceremonial purposes. There. It does look very Trojan. So yeah, we'll kind of keep it like that for now. I might add like more designs or more to it. This can also leave some kind of opening, because they have like this collar piece that goes around and a little bit on the shoulders. Then they have the cuirass underneath. Let me figure out what that's actually called. Gorget? G-O. So this little thing here is called the G-O-R-G-E-T. I'm going to keep this actually. So it's like a little It's like a little neck piece. And a lot of paintings that I see of armor, I see a lot of designs where it kind of goes up above their mouth almost. For like, you know, like, not League of Legends. I guess League of Legends to some extent. And then, StarCraft. Like, there's a lot of armor where this part is huge on them. But, I don't know. I don't like that because, like I said, he's more of a cleric. He's not too heavily armored. So, that's his helmet for now. Things might change. The biggest part is just this crescent moon right here. Okay, so because of his helmet, he's not going to have a hood like this manga drawing that I have. He's not going to have the hood. I mostly like this shawl thing that wraps around. And I am a huge fan of like capes and shawls that kind of wrap around a heavy set of armor. I really like that design. So what we're going to do, let's do a rough outline of his body. Like I said, this is rough. I'm really not trying. Like, I'm kind of trying, but I'm failing, obviously, because I'm kind of at an angle. So I'm trying to check on my video while I'm doing this. I'm kind of at an angle, and I think it's screwing me up. I just want to make sure I'm drawing within the border lines of my video recording screen. Okay. So anyway. So we're just going to work on like the breastplate and stuff. We'll do legs and arms and all that later. So, but I do need to kind of put his arms out to the side a little bit. Okay. And we'll go into the weapon too in a minute here. Okay, so first things first, like I said, I want to base it off of these three designs as well as add some features of the moon. Now the goddess, her colors are, where can I put this? Blue, black, and a hint of yellow. Very little yellow. Mostly just is like the glow of the moon. But Boone Morgan is a healer. And when you see that big red cross on hospitals, the red is, you know, very signifying of, you know, health. And then there's, in video games, there's like the health potion and stuff. So maybe I'll have like a red cross. So maybe his designs will be more red. I could do blue, I guess, but I don't know. I'll figure out colors later. But I kind of want there to be some signifying feature that he's a healer, whether it be a cross. It is a very fantastical place that he lives in, so maybe there's like a staff. And then also clerics, they have like tomes and stuff, so there could be like a book somewhere, or just maybe two stabs. Like that, I don't know, we'll figure something out. But these are some of like the designs that I want to add to his design, not the design of like the pauldrons, but like insignias, like Shy's guild. She's a demon hunt. She has a demon hunter guild, and her sigil is a demon's skull that's cracked by a sword, two swords that's in the shape of the sun and the moon. So this just kind of gives me an idea for designs. I also like these. Let's see, where is it? I'm trying to find it. Okay. Acanthus leaves. The acanthus leaves are the really pretty, here, let me show you. They're these really pretty Renaissance looking things. Like the design, I really love those designs. So I was thinking maybe for his pauldrons, I could do something like, okay, so here's the shape. Here's like the basic shape of a pauldron. It's very simple. This is from looking straight forward at it as if you were looking at them like this. So it's just a basic shape. Now I had this idea of maybe it will go kind of up and then down, and it's like that, maybe. I don't want it to be that pointed though, because that'll make his shoulders look weird. I want it to accent his shoulders. So it'll be simple like that. I was thinking maybe this can be engraved into the pauldron. There can be like, FYI, if you hear any loud squeaking noises, that's my dog. She's not getting the attention she thinks she deserves, so so she's being really whiny about it. She's gone to the bathroom. She's got to go outside. She ate. She's just being needy right now. So maybe something like that at the top. And then as it kind of goes into Boone Morgan's cheek, it can kind of like curl up like this a little bit. Just a smidge. Don't want too much. So then we'll kind of drape down, kind of go out like this. I'm just doing the shapes right now. I don't want to worry about details until I've had the shape of something designed and artistically it looks like it fits as well as serves a purpose. But this is just the design of this pauldron, so we don't need to go into that. Kind of goes in like that. Then we'll have some more very thin leaves. Then we'll have a kind of a bigger one there and another small one, and then the biggest leaf will be like right here somewhere. I know it kind of doesn't make any sense right now. It's very, very choppy. It'll make sense, I promise. We'll have a leaf. It'll be very, let's see. So definitely when designing something, you want to make sure that you have some kind of symbolism behind what they wear. There has to be a purpose of why they wear it. And for Boone, he's doing it for his goddess because he's very religious. So he would have all kinds of drawings or carvings or something that's kind of dedicated to her. Also, for my book, my character May, when I designed her sword, I kept into consideration that the realm that they live in, they kind of care for and protect these trees. They're the trees of life, and they connect the real world to the underworld. So their world is also revolved around these trees. So maybe there might be designs of trees on them, carvings. You might have particular leaves or flowers or something designed into the armor to represent the trees. And in my book, the 3 trees is one's a willow tree, one's an oak tree, one's a cherry tree, and one is a willow tree. And all these trees represent the elements: fire, earth, wind, and water. So yeah, definitely figure out what's important to your character, because that will very, very much decide how they wear, or how they dress, I'm sorry. And there are some things that I personally like for instance, the acanthus leaves, if I am pronouncing that correctly. I don't think I am, but that's okay, because I've only ever read it, and I just figured out what they were called the other day. I was sitting there trying to find designs for these things, and I just, for some reason, I could not, for the life of me, figure out what they were called. And then I ran into the name, and I was like, oh my god, are you serious? That's what they're called? Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, I will never forget. Okay, well, I hope that makes more sense. So it's kind of like an acanthus leaf going down the shoulder and kind of going up a bit. Then this is the pauldron. And then maybe, because the pauldron has to stay on somehow, whether it be buckled or it's connected to another piece of something, but we'll work that out in a second. Now, usually pauldrons sometimes have like another set underneath, like under here, or they have a brace. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Brace. It is, here, I'll show you. It is the arm thing, I think. Yes, it's pointing to the arm thing. It's the arm thing that's underneath the actual pauldron. So that part, because his pauldrons are so heavily designed and they're very flashy, that part's going to be very simple. It's not going to be too flashy. And like I said, I'm not trying to go too heavily armored. So maybe underneath, instead of that, he'll just have like a small little thing of a brace, and then he'll have chainmail underneath. I kind of like that idea. So I'm going to write that down. So chainmail underneath. I suck at writing. There we go. Okay. Now for his cuirass. This might be really easy because I might just end up covering that. So I do really like the design of his pauldron. So I don't want to hide the pauldron. That means I can't go with the shawl. Or maybe I could put the pauldron over the shawl and then have it kind of come down and then have it. Or here's another thing that I can do. A lot of designs for armor, sometimes they have one big fancy like pauldron. Okay, not that big, but they have a big fancy pauldron and then they have nothing on this side. So I can do that. Let's play with that idea first, because I do really like the shawl look, because it does make him look more like a cleric and less like a fighter. Okay, let's do that. So here's the kind of a basic shape like that. And like I said, Boone's not trying to be too flashy. I just want to design him with these pretty things because I like it. So get over it. It's my world. Just kidding. So there's a pauldron. It's not going to be too big. It's going to be kind of curving around his shoulder. I'm not going to put the design on it because I have the design down here, down there. So I'm not going to design it. I'm not going to go through freaking 10 minutes of designing it again. So I'm just going to do that. Maybe he has like a buckle. That would be a good thing, because then it can go down and around, and then the shawl can kind of, maybe it goes over the shawl. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But then how would it stick on? I don't know. I'll figure that out. Okay, so he has that, and then he has this shawl-like thing. And like I said, I don't want to give him a hood because of his helmet. His helmet's going to kind of block that out. So maybe he has the gorget, I don't fucking know. Excuse my French. So maybe he has the gorget. Gorget. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it gorget, okay? No, I like gorget better. It sounds more fancy. So he has that thing. Hold on, I need to pull up my... Okay, so there's all kinds of different designs for these too. Like your limitations for this is very few limitations to how you can design this thing. So I've seen so many different designs for this. So maybe, like I said, I kind of want to keep it simple. I kind of want to keep it plain. So maybe there's that, and then there's the design of the moons on the side. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So then there's like the moons right there, and they're carved into it. So the moons are carved. Okay. So the moons are carved. And then underneath, maybe instead of it being underneath, maybe it's like, maybe he has a cloak. It's kind of like, he has like a pin that pins his cloak here, and then he has a cloak that kind of goes up and down and around. So in this way, I don't have to try to figure out how his pauldron is connected to his body. I can just kind of like hide a buckle under there, whatever. So then he has kind of like the shawl, and I do like this, lack of symmetry. The artistic design of having like a cloak kind of fall down his shoulders like that. So he has a cloak. And then because you can't really see much of a cuirass, maybe he just has kind of like the crusader thing and it's like buckled here. And he, you know, he's a cleric, and in this world, magic is a huge thing in their world. But it's at the kind of at Boone Morgan's time, it's more towards like the beginning. So they're not very well advanced in medicine or in magic yet. So he still has to have like a little satchel that maybe like is like clipped to his pauldron belt. Kind of has like this satchel that goes down, and it has medicinal herbs and other things. So I'll design that later, whatever. So I'm kind of thinking that. Let's see. So then he has the chainmail underneath. He has some kind of cowder. Is that what it's called? C-O-U-T-E-R, cowder. Is the cowder over here that kind of protects the elbows. So it's kind of, you know, it's really simple, and it kind of goes down like the Crusaders up here. Kind of drapes down. Maybe has another one on top that has a fancy design where it's like the moons or whatever. Maybe the stars. Something fancy, but who knows? We'll figure that out later. Because right now I'm just trying to get a design that I like. A design that kind of looks good. That suits my personal interest. And dang it, I got rid of my reference. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. And when I actually draw it out, it's going to look a lot better. Right now it just looks like a bunch of scribbles. Kind of looks like crap. So there's that so far. And when I kind of draw it out more in detail, it'll help me determine what looks good and what doesn't, what clashes. Right, like I said, right now it kind of just looks like a bunch of scribbles. So, but I do really like his pauldron. That's cool. I'm still trying to decide if I like this. I don't know if that works with the aesthetic that I'm trying to go with, but I need some kind of hint to him being a cleric, and clerics are mostly garbed instead of in heavy armor. So that might not work. I might just do this thing underneath, this cloth that kind of goes down, and then have, because there are a lot of cool designs that work with cloaks and armor, but I'm thinking for Boone, it might not work out with cloaks. He might just not have one at all. And if he does, it's just one that he puts on for if the weather's really shitty. So, yeah, I'm thinking cloak might not work. But I do like the idea of having one really designed pauldron and then one that's just kind of plain, kind of just goes down. So we're going to take that off. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do a smaller sketch just so I can kind of get an idea of what I want the cuirass to look like. Okay, so there's one thing that I'm working on with my drawings is trying to draw lighter. I am atrocious with it. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but okay. So there's that. These two beefy legs will be there. It's too far down. Whoops. Okay. It's going to be there. Those two beefy legs will be there. Okay. So I did kind of decide that I liked, you know what if I got rid of two different sketches, one with the cloak and a different helmet, or maybe one with the cloak and not the gorget. I'm going to try a few different designs. So there's going to be But the first one that I'm going to do is the one with the courgette and without the cloak. Then one I'm going to do without the courgette and then one with the cloak. So then we're going to see what I like and what I don't like. So then he's going to have chainmail. I'm actually going to stop my video here. It's getting kind of long and my daughter woke up, so I have to go tend to her really quick. So yeah, so far, I hope you guys learned something, hopefully, or I don't know, maybe this helped in some way. But I'll pick this up again, I don't know when, whenever I have time, I guess. But there will be a part 2 video, so stay tuned, and I'll finish this, and we'll work with more designs for my character. Alright, thank you so much. Bye.